Okay, we are reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Wrecking Ball. My hair looks like a wrecking ball came by, as a matter of fact. Um, we are on page 131, and here we go. The teachers have been really stressed out about this test, and the last few weeks haven't been fun at all. So they show a picture of a girl. She's at the chalkboard. She's writing numbers down, and the teacher's like, wrong, wrong, wrong. All this pressure has been getting us kids really stressed out. So last week, the school brought a stress puppy into the library to help everyone relax. But kids got too grabby with the puppy, and then the puppy got all stressed out. You can see the puppy right down there on the bottom. The puppy started running in circles and peeing all over the place. So the school took it away and replaced it with a stress lizard. And nobody wanted to touch that thing. Speaking of stress, I really wasn't looking forward to going home this afternoon because I knew they were going to cut a hole in the wall to connect it with the addition. I was worried they might accidentally have to cut through the plumbing, and I didn't want to be around when that happened. Roderick thought they were going to use a wrecking ball to smash through the wall, and his whole plan was to make a music video with his band when they did. So Roderick and his bandmates were pretty disappointed when they got there, and the workers had already opened the wall with a power saw. I didn't see any sign of the grout, so that was a relief. But what the workers found inside the walls was just as bad. The wood underneath the siding was rotten because of a leak caused by the clogged gutters. And apparently there was toxic mold in the walls. So we've been living with that all this time too. Plus, there were nests in the walls, which means we've been sharing our house with a colony of mice. It really creeps me out to think there's this whole world living inside our walls without us even knowing it. And that's why I've decided when I build my first house, it's going to be 100% glass. Do you see can you think of any negatives, reasons that you wouldn't build your house out of 100% glass? Yeah, that's right. You can see everything. Here's his toilet. Here he is waving from the kitchen. I mean, that wouldn't be good. Okay, Friday. Ever since they opened up the wall, we've been finding mouse droppings on our kitchen counters. So that means the mice are living out in the open now. Mom says we can't leave any food lying around because then the mice will get up on the surface where we eat. So we've been trying to keep everything really clean. And I've been putting our snacks in places where the mice can't get to them. Dad's been looking up ways to get rid of mice that won't hurt them, but Roderick had his own ideas for what to do. He wants to buy a snake and let nature take its course. When Mom asked Roderick what we do once the snake ate the mice, he said we'd buy a mongoose to catch the snake. So remind me not to visit Roderick's house when I get older. The mice aren't our only problem, though. We've got wasps in the house now, too. Mom found one crawling on the mantel above the fireplace last night, and there was another one flying around the kitchen this morning during breakfast. We can't figure out how they've been getting inside because we've been keeping the windows shut and we don't open the front doors unless we have to. Mom thinks they might be coming in from underneath the tarp that's covering the side of the house. So she sent Dad out there tonight to make sure there aren't any gaps where they're getting through. But Dad wasn't happy about it because there was a thunderstorm. I would have helped him, but I was afraid of being struck by lightning. At school, Albert Sandy told us about this kid who got hit by lightning while he was out in a canoe, and now he's supercharged with electricity. Well, everybody at my lunch table thought that sounded really cool. But I knew that if it happened to me, everyone would just use me as a charging station. That's funny. Roderick had a theory about how the wasps were getting in, but it sounded kind of crazy. He explained there are all kinds of different types of wasps, like paper wasps, mud wasps. He said we've probably got sewer wasps, and they're getting in through the toilets. Well, I've never heard of a sewer wasp before, but I'm not taking any chances. Right now, we've got a rodent problem and an insect problem, and I'm not sure which is worse. I don't know why our house can't be infested with something cute instead, because if we were overrun by koalas, I really wouldn't have a problem with it. Saturday. Last week, the workers had to disconnect our air conditioner so they can bring in a bigger unit. So for now, we're all sleeping in the basement because that's the only place in the house where it's cool. I can see why Roderick likes it down there, especially in the summer. I don't love being underground though, which is making me rethink the whole plan for my dream house. Dad said when he was growing up, some people built bunkers where they could go if there was a war or something. Well, living in a tiny underground space with my whole family sounds like a terrible idea. First of all, the snacks would be gone by the second day. And if we only had one bathroom down there, we'd have a major problem. I guess we'd have a periscope so we'd know when the coast was clear on the surface. But if the periscope got blocked, we might never know it was okay to go back up. Dad said some people still build bunkers so they can stay safe if there's a natural disaster, like a tornado or something. Well, this morning I thought we were experiencing an earthquake, and the last place I wanted to be was underground. But the reason the ground was shaking was because the workers were outside jackhammering. They were breaking up our old driveway so they could pour a new one. And I was pretty sure the neighbors weren't going to be happy about all the noise, especially Mr. LaRocca, who had just gotten home from his shift at the hospital. But I was excited about the new driveway. Our old one was in really bad shape. So so you couldn't really use it for anything. And maybe that's what's been holding me back from becoming a professional athlete all the time. When they hauled the rubble away and the truck came to pour the fresh concrete, I started to get nervous. A lot of the kids in my neighborhood are jerks, and if they see wet concrete, they'll write stupid stuff in it. Hmm. Yep. On top of that, Mrs. Rakowski's cats have been in our yard a lot lately, hunting for mice, and I didn't want a bunch of paw prints in the freshly poured concrete. So after the workers finished, I patrolled the perimeter to make sure everyone stayed off. I was watching the street, but it turns out I should have been watching the garage. I heard the van door I heard the door open and Roderick started pulling his van out. I tried to stop him, but he was playing his music too loud to hear. Splash! I couldn't believe no one inside the house told Roderick about the driveway, but it turns out they had a really good excuse because they were dealing with a more serious problem. What could be more serious? He just trashed the new concrete. Smoke was pouring out of the windows on the first floor, and I heard sirens in the distance. Oh my goodness. Not a good day at his house. Mom was running out the front door, and Dad was right behind her. 10 seconds later, a fire truck pulled up along the curb, and a couple of firefighters got out. Wee-oo. They ran across the lawn and onto the front walkway, which the workers had just finished pouring. Splish, sploosh, splish. That's when everyone realized that Manny was still inside, but thankfully he'd already had practice for this sort of thing. So Manny had practice for this, and if you look over here, Manny threw a bunch of his stuffed animals out and then jumped on them so that he would fall on something nice and soft. Good thinking, Manny. The good news is there wasn't actually a fire. There was just a lot of smoke, but the bad news is it was my fault. Last week when we were putting our food in places where the mice couldn't get in, I hid some snacks in the oven. So when Mom preheated the oven to put in a batch of bacon this morning, a plastic bag melted. It's kind of unfortunate because that was a waste of some perfectly good potato chips. Okay, we're going to stop there on page 150 and we'll read more later. I hope you're enjoying the story. I actually am enjoying it very much. Keep reading. Talk to you soon.